Hi there, my name is Jack Berzina.
And I'm Maggie Huchelak. Welcome to this special edition of the Arts Council Haliburton Highlands 6-Minute Escape. And it is special because this fall's edition, Escape to Halls Island, will feature 7 videos created by the participants in the 2021 Halls Island Artist Retreat.
And just what is the Halls Island Artist Retreat? I hear you thinking, and I'm so glad you asked. For a number of years, a lovely island, complete with living accommodations, located in beautiful Koshlong Lake, has been made available to artists, free of charge, for a stay of 10 to 12 days. The intent is to provide artists with an opportunity to focus on their creativity, away from the distractions of everyday life. As I mentioned, through the generosity of the Fraser Hughes family, the island was made available at no charge to participants. And this past year, with support of a TD Ready Challenge grant, the organizing committee was able to provide a travel subsidy for the artists as well.
As part of their application, the artists were asked to envision a way of sharing their art and their island experience with the Haliburton Highlands community. In the first year of the program, the artists offered readings, concerts, talks about their art, and other public events.
COVID put a stop to that idea. Actually, COVID put a stop to the 2020 retreats altogether. But with the arrival of vaccines, it was felt that the island retreat offered a pretty secure location to spend 10 days.
However, the community engagement aspect of the program still posed a problem. And so the committee asked each of the participants to create a 6-minute video under the broad title of My Halls Island Experience. And those videos are what you'll be seeing this evening on this edition of the 6-Minute Escape.
I know you'll find the videos interesting for the insight into the work of the artists, how the visit stimulated their creativity and their approach in recording it, and the love letters they have crafted to the island and their experiences during the retreats. And so, without further ado, I turn it over to Maggie to introduce our first video.
Our first video is by Alicia Nauta. Alicia is a Toronto-based artist. She makes screen-printed posters, prints, wallpaper, installations, books, printed textiles, and other multiples. Her focus is on analog ways of making, using Xerox material culled from older publications found in thrift stores and reference libraries to create collaged compositions. Her work has been shown in the Toronto Public Reference Library, the Art Gallery of Ontario, Toronto Ferry Terminal Docks, Gallery 44, Art Metropole, and in BC, the US, and in Japan. She was recently the artist in residence at the Art Gallery of Ontario. For her community engagement project, she proposed a fabric dyeing workshop where we all could have learned dyeing technique and how to source natural dyes from flowers, herbs, vegetables, and spices. That would have been so wonderful, and so is her video. Here it is.
a delightful way to open this series. Alicia certainly captured the magic of Halls Island. Next up, we have a group of 3 musicians who call themselves the River Pilots. The group includes Todd and Tanya Porter and Carly Howell. Carly was an instructor at the Winter Folk Camp, which takes place across the water, or perhaps at that time of the year it was ice, each March at Camp Wanakita. With a name like the River Pilots, one would suspect they would be comfortable in a location surrounded by water. That appeared to have been the case this past summer as they added their own musical touches to their video presentation. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Tanya Porter. I play drums and percussion with the River Pilots, and I'm standing here on Halls Island along with the cicadas and the water and the boats and the cabin. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the wonderful opportunity that we had as a trio to come here to this incredibly beautiful and really unique space, because every little crevice spoke to us in a different way and really inspired our music making. Our process of creation, we were aware that we were going to make music in nature, with whatever the sounds were around. So we really didn't have a set agenda when we arrived, other than the instrumentation that we were going to use, and sort of a goal of creating a set number of pieces. I brought in an idea of doing some writing about the island, or what it would be like to be the island, or our experience in metaphor as an island. And we worked with some of that, some of the language, some of the words from that writing inspired a piece that we did called In, Of, and On the Island in 9 movements. We did some night filming of a different piece that we created. Really, we were inspired by the rhythm of the lapping water and what that was like. My name's Carly Howell, and I am a member of the River Pilots. I play the bass, clarinet, some percussion, use my voice a little bit. A lot of the work that we do together as a band is really based in interpretive and imitative sound, and we love to use natural imagery as part of that process. When I saw the opportunity to come to Halls Island, I knew that this was the place for this band, because in this setting, we also get to interact with those sounds. One of the things that we did was take a bit of the tour of the island and really paid attention to the details and also the sounds, and thought about how those could be incorporated into our pieces or influence the thematic material of our pieces. But one of the things that we didn't expect, that I think was the most magical of all, were the ways that the music interacted with the nature in the moment. We were sitting right over here and we were playing a piece and we were trying to find our rhythm with it, and I was trying to find the part that worked, and I wasn't quite finding it. And all of a sudden this bird started cawing in perfect rhythm with the band, with all of these really interesting little interjections and rhythmic ideas that fit exactly with what we were doing rhythmically, like he was a member of the band, but also told me exactly what I needed to play. It was a really special opportunity to have sounds like that were interacting with what we were doing and informing what we were doing, and that we could take our cues from the birds or the waves or the crackle of the fire or the bug inside the tree, the cicadas crescendoing. The sounds of Halls Island were a huge part of our creative process and will just be in my memory forever.
Hi, my name is Todd Porter and I play guitar in the River Pilots. I also handled all the videography on this project, so I spent a lot of time in the first few days just taking my camera around and seeing where the sun was and the shadows hit at different times of the day, with the idea that later on in the week we would be recording full pieces, and we were looking for locations. And the island provided a ton of very different types of locations to film and make music in. Things like even the stairway down to the dock provided a great location to record one piece of music. We did another exercise with each individual player composing their own piece of music as an ode to the island. We were able to use the canoe and to be able to shoot from the water onto the shore and get some absolutely amazing shots and inspired music out of everyone in the group. We really are appreciative of the opportunity to come here, and we're really proud of the work that we were able to do, and we hope that you enjoy it as well. Thank you again to everyone involved in the Halls Island Artist Residency, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
When I first stepped onto Halls Island, I thought, this place is enchanted, and the River Pilots have captured that enchantment. Thank you, Todd, Tanya, and Carly. Our next video was created by two writers, Catherine Buchanan and Beverly Cooper. The thing about artists is that they don't tend to sing their own praises, so I'm going to do just that. Catherine Buchanan is a novelist. Her most recent novel, Daughter of Black Lake, was chosen as Best Fiction for Fall by Entertainment Weekly and Parade magazine. Her previous novel, The Painted Girls, was a New York Times bestseller and a #1 Canadian bestseller. Her debut novel, The Day the Fall Stood Still, was a New York Times bestseller and a Canada Reads Top 40 Essential Canadian Novels of the Decade. Her work has been translated into 9 languages. Beverly Cooper is a writer, dramaturge, and teacher. She writes for TV, film, and extensively for CBC radio drama. Innocence Lost, a play about Stephen Truscott, was a sold-out hit at the Blythe Festival and a finalist for the 2009 Governor General's Literary Award, and was on the Globe and Mail bestseller list, a first for a Canadian playwright. Beverly coordinates the CASA project, a charitable arm of the Playwrights Guild of Canada, which supports women-identified playwrights living in South Africa. For their community engagement project, Beverly and Kathy proposed that they interview one another about their writing lives and creative process. Happily, their video shows us a really wonderful taste of that proposal. Here it is.
Regular breakfast in the morning?
My regular breakfast is aged granary bread slathered in peanut butter dipped in tea. It's so good.
My name is Kathy Marie Buchanan. I'm a novelist. My published works are The Day the Fall Stood Still, The Painted Girls, and Daughter of Black Lake. And I'm currently working on my 4th novel, All of them are works of historical fiction. So the novel that I'm working on now opens on October 22nd, 1962. So some of you might recognize that as the day that President Kennedy came on TV and announced to the nation that there were missiles on the shores of Cuba, nuclear missiles that were capable of reaching all the way up to Hudson's Bay in Canada. I'd say my biggest challenge is that I'm writing from 4 different points of view. So that's 4 different voices, and I want each of the points of view to be very distinguishable, based on the voice that I'm writing in. So I'm writing first draft, the lovely first draft. And I'd say I'm about 3/4 of the way through it, first draft, but there'll be lots of cleaning up to be done. When I came here, I decided I wanted to write at least 1,000 words a day, which is about at least twice what I'm normally able to accomplish. And I just looked, and the 7 days here so far, I've written over 8,000 words. So I'm really happy with how that's going. And, I mean, it's been absolutely wonderful. The first day, Bev and I were practicing yoga on the deck, and we're lying in Shavasana and talking about, how incredibly lucky we were to be here. And that feeling has just grown over the time here. Halls Island is a little slice of heaven. There are no distractions. There is nobody knocking on your door. There's nobody asking you to go out to dinner. Well, that's not true. We did go out for dinner one night. There's no, Wi-Fi with access to the internet where you can find a million rabbit holes to crawl down. So it's just been an incredibly productive time.
So I'm a playwright, and I've often been interested in historical stories and telling them through plays. And I have a commission from a wonderful theater company in Millbrook called the Fourth Line Theater. And they do outdoor plays that with a very extensive scenery, good hills, and you can also do large cast plays. So I'm writing something about the Spanish Civil War. This play is based on a true story of a woman named Jean Watts, also known as Jim Watts, who went to the Spanish Civil War as a reporter for the Toronto Clarion. She was also really active in the Toronto theater scene, in the avant-garde and agitprop theater, and she was a real lefty communist and a firebrand and a self-described bisexual woman. She was unconventional, and she was the only woman who ever enlisted in the international brigades in Spain. So I'm seeing the story of the Spanish Civil War through her eyes. It's an amazing place. Beautiful. And the lovely thing is that, we here with Kathy, we're both really just concentrated on work. That is the most important thing. I'm working on a first draft, which I find excruciating in some ways. First drafts, if I can get through a first draft, I actually like to rewrite. But so I'm near the end of the first act, and I've mapped out what's going to happen in the second act. I think I've really completed most of my research, which is also, it's a research heavy play, and I can always be looking at things. So that's a little bit of an issue. But being here is a dream come true, really, for a writer, I think, except for there was a wild chipmunk in the room that I was writing in. It was very distracting, but he's gone the way of all good chipmunks, away from us. So that's been helpful. This is my little writing friend.
Productively pounding the keys, writers Catherine Buchanan and Beverly Cooper and Bev's chipper writing friend on Halls Island. Writer Melody Acero was close to home when she got the call to attend the Halls Island Artist Retreat. She was born and raised in the Haliburton Highlands and was delighted to take advantage of this creative opportunity. Melody shared the island with two other artists, writer and storyteller Lindsay Hobbs, who is also based in the Highlands. In addition to her teaching, she shares a bi-weekly podcast with Alicia Barlow, in which they dissect underappreciated works of art. And working with Lindsay was Alyssa Graybeal, a writer and cartoonist whose first prose book, Floppy, Tales of a Genetic Freak of Nature at the End of the World, won the 2020 Red Hen Press Nonfiction Book Award. The trio prepared two videos about their impressions of Halls Island.
Made of Dreams, Chapter 1, The Algonquin Islands. I'm asleep. I'm in the dream world. I'm biking along a winding dirt road beside a lake with loons making melodic calls nearby. I jump off my bike and start exploring the cabins that dot the adjacent rolling hills. I find some friends. We have a picnic and munch on cucumbers, jicama, and watermelon, all sprinkled with lime and salt. Yummy. Someone hollers, "Come on, let's go to that island," pointing across the lake. We jump up and run to the canoes resting on the shore, hopping in and pushing off the sandy beach. The lake is sparkling blue, still and glassy. Our canoes glide swiftly across the mirrored lake. Tiny islands are everywhere. They remind me of giant stone animals with trees growing on their backs. This lake seemed familiar, but not anymore. I don't know where I am. We keep paddling and head over to a bigger island with a smooth shoal to use as our landing. We jump out of our canoes. Boulders are scattered around the edge of the island. We all start exploring, walking and hopping on top of the big, smooth stones. We see a glimmering lush forest with sunlight streaming through the trees, some electric green and leafy, others towering emerald-colored pines. We begin to run through the island, up and down its rolling hills, across its forest, and through a meadow full of wildflowers swaying in the wind. Tall daisies, asters, and lupins dominate the field. We start to play a game of hide and seek and run away from each other in different directions. I'm on the edge of the forest again, carefully tiptoeing and moving slyly. I run from tree to tree. I make long strides and bounce delicately like a deer. Now I've become a deer and I'm gliding through the forest triumphantly. Everything glistens in gold light from the sun penetrating the trembling aspen leaves above. I see the wildflower meadow again and run towards it. Leaping and soaring through the air gracefully in my deer body, I shout, "You can't catch me!" But the only sound I make is in the center of the meadow. We all meet again, all its different animals. My friends are now a lion, a cat, a ram, something that looks like a dragon, and yet we're all still us. I'm awake now. I'm in the real world. The light streams in and my dream world adventure vanishes. I don't know where I just was, but I know I had fun. Today will be a good day. I love it when I have good dreams. Too bad it disappeared so fast.
Thank you so much, Melody, Lindsay, and Alyssa. The island was clearly inspiring for you and therefore inspiring to us. Our next video was created by Sandra Boza. Sandra Boza is a working musician, songwriter, and recording artist who has lived and studied and worked all over the world. Her songs are deeply personal. She was the winner of the 2019 Toronto Blues Society Talent Search. In 2020, her album Falling Away From Me was released to international acclaim, and that year she was asked to represent Toronto at the International Blues Challenge of Memphis. For her community engagement project, she envisioned bringing her band to Haliburton, but we are gifted here with her honesty and an exquisite solo acoustic performance. Here's her video.
Hi, my name is Sandra Boza, and I'm one of the 2021 artists at the Halls Island Artist Residency. So I want to thank you for making this possible. This was an amazing experience. First, I just wanted to say that. So I want to share a little bit about my experience at Halls Island, and then play songs. I'm a musician, so that was the art that I was making at Halls Island. And so my experience was, it was very life-changing and illuminating. I think for a lot of artists, I'm assuming it was the same. But being somewhere like that where you can focus on your art, where you're alone, I think it's so important to be alone for everybody, not just for artists. But I think one of the reasons for that is it really illuminates some of the thoughts going on. And some of them are scary, you know, some of them are fear-based. Like I have this theory that a lot of things, a lot of negative thoughts, depression, things like that are based in fear. And so I ended up writing a lot of songs about fear, but not sad or scary or depressing songs. They're actually quite empowering, which I am really, because I'm sort of prone to write sad, depressing songs, moody songs since high school. It's teenage angst. It's never gone away. But the first hour I was at Halls Island, I didn't know what to do with myself. And I remember sitting there thinking, you know, within the first hour, I couldn't believe how quickly some of those thoughts came up, you know, those negative thoughts, the fearful thoughts. And in the first hour, I was thinking things like, I don't belong here. I'm not a real artist. I'm not, you know, the other artists on this, they have, you know, they contributed more, they've done more. Like, what am I doing? I somehow got this by mistake. I tricked you. You know, all the thoughts that were bouncing around my head, and I recognized that they were fear-based, and I tried, you know, I think it's good to recognize those and to sit with them and acknowledge them, but not be ruled by them, and not try to rule them either, you know, try to stamp them out, which is something I used to do, try to numb my feelings. So I decided to let them inform my work, which is what they did, you know. And the other thing that was really important to me on this trip, I have to thank one of the other artists. There were two writers there before me, and they left a little note saying, we suggest that the artists that stay leave a haiku. And I hadn't really written haikus since school. And so there was one morning that I was feeling particularly stuck, and a lot of the bad thoughts and the fearful thoughts were sort of running my brain a little bit. And so I decided to write. I went down to, somebody left a table by the water, which is such a magical place. And I decided to write haikus, and I wrote pages and pages and pages and pages of haikus. It was amazing. It was so freeing. And, you know, it's like when I'm stuck with music, sometimes I'll learn a cover just to change my direction or open up new avenues in my brain. So that's what this did. And it was great. And I was writing a lot of haikus about the nature around me, like the trees, the water, and the bugs. And so I ended up writing this song that was largely inspired by some of these nature-inspired haikus. And it's also a song about sort of when you're feeling fearful, when you're feeling small, just reminding yourself that you are a part of this beautiful nature all around you. You are, you know, intrinsically connected to it. And you know, allowing nature to remind you of that too. And so, anyways, the song is called Taller Than the Evergreens, and I'm going to try to play a short version because every time I've played it, I've gone over my 6 minutes. So this is it. question of surrender is not an easily done thing. I hope you will remember, if you get up off your knees, you are taller than the evergreens. If life is a game of reputation, opinions can make or break our creed. I think I'll ask the constellations. They whisper when I sleep, you are taller than the evergreens. If you're looking for reflection, take a chance on liking what you see. Remember, water is perception. If you look beneath the surface, yes, you are taller than the evergreen. Alright, that was the short version. And I made it to approximately 6 minutes. So thank you so much again for the opportunity. There's more songs coming, and I'm releasing an album soon, or I'm going into the studio soon to do an album, and a lot of the songs that will be on this album are from this retreat, and that is an amazing thing that I'm so grateful for. So now I'm way over my 6 minutes, so thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing all the other videos. I love you. I can't turn this off.
Singer-songwriter Sandra Boza, who found the island an ideal location to unlock her creativity. And now she indeed stands taller than the evergreens. Now I want to introduce you to Marilla Wex. Marilla is a comedian, a writer, and an actor from England who has found a home in Canada. Her stay at Halls Island was overshadowed by an ominous diagnosis, but she used her time to work through and confront what she was facing, as she details in her video. And she also found time to write a script for a short film. Marilla?
7 weeks before I get to the island, I have my first ever mammogram. I discover I do not enjoy the panini press. 6 weeks before I get to the island, I have my first colonoscopy. I discover I do enjoy anesthesia. 5 weeks before I get to the island, I have my second mammogram with bonus ultrasound on my left boob. It is painful and makes me cry. 4 weeks before I get to the island, my doctor calls me in and says, "It appears your breast has betrayed you." I try not to laugh. For some reason, I find his phrasing hilarious. He requests a biopsy at Princess Margaret Hospital. 3 weeks before I get to the island, I discover that medical records aren't automatically transferred between clinics and hospitals, and to expedite my biopsy, I have to go back to the imaging centre and wait while they burn me a CD of my scans and print out blurry copies of reports that I have to physically take to the hospital. I feel like I have time travelled back to the 90s. 2 weeks before I get to the island, I finally get my biopsy appointment. I am now considered a patient of Princess Margaret Hospital, and I am afraid. 1 week before I get to the island, I have my biopsy. I discover that I do not enjoy lidocaine injections to the boob. The day after my biopsy, I meet my surgical oncologist, who confirms that I will need a lumpectomy. I create the hashtag #DodgyTit and use it on social media to post about my journey, Bath, so I can keep people informed en masse and avoid having to have the same conversation 11 billion times. The day after I get to the island, my surgeon calls to confirm what I have already seen in my handy-dandy patient app under test results. I have cancer. He tells me that in addition to the lumpectomy, he's going to take out any attached lymph nodes during the surgery. I cry and call my husband. The next 9 days consist mainly of hours upon hours of staring at the lake, processing my diagnosis. I move through every possible emotion multiple times: fear, sadness, grief, anger, loneliness, joy, gratitude, peace, and acceptance. Everything slows down and I'm forced to just be with myself in this extraordinary location. I let the lake hold me. I do very little work. Cancer focuses the mind. I realise by my 3rd day on the island that my original plan of turning my short story into a screenplay won't work, and this perfect little queer love story works better as a short film. I write the script and am done by the 4th day on the island. I celebrate by burning my steri strips from the biopsy in the fire pit. The rest of my creative energy goes into writing nearly 40 absurd haikus about my experience on the island, which I post on Instagram. I do a 1,000-piece jigsaw 3 times. I kayak, I swim, I read, I meditate. But mostly, I stare at the lake. By the time I leave the island, I am ready to be reintroduced to society and continue my cancer journey. Barf. 3 weeks after I leave the island, I have my surgery at Toronto General Hospital. I reconfirm that anaesthesia is my friend. The operation comes at the end of a week of appointments that are accumulatively terrifying. The wound care class, a COVID test, the anaesthesia consult, a blood test, an ECG, a marker pellet insertion with accompanying lidocaine injection to the tit, ow, followed by a trip to the nuclear department of Mount Sinai for a radioactive dye injection which turns my nipple blue. Triple ow. It's a lot. I am exhausted, but it is over. 6 weeks after I leave the island, I meet my medical oncologist, who tells me what I already know from the app. My cancer was very serious. Triple positive, don't Google it. But since it has all been removed and hadn't spread to the lymph node, there's no need for chemotherapy, and I will only need 5 days of radiation, not a whole month. I cry and call my husband. 10 weeks after I leave the island, I meet my radiation oncologist and we schedule my sessions. By the time you see this film, I will have completed the scarier parts of my cancer treatment and will be in the monitoring phase. Hopefully 5 years after I left the island, I will be declared officially cancer-free. Thank you to the administrators, technicians, nurses and doctors at Midtown Imaging Centre, Mount Sinai, Toronto General and the Princess Margaret Hospital for their exceptional care, attention to detail, listening skills and humour. I am immensely grateful that this was caught, diagnosed, removed and treated quickly and skillfully. I dodged a massive bullet and am truly blessed to live in Canada, where cost was never an issue in curating my treatment. Thank you to the organisers of the Halls Island residency for providing the perfect haven for me to process the news and my emotions and give me space to figure out what truly matters and what's next for me. I promise I will make that short film. While I was writing this, a friend who has been supporting me these last few months found out her cancer is terminal. She asked me to film her goodbyes before she schedules her assisted suicide plan. I tell you this as a reminder to never take your time for granted. We never know how long we've got.
I love you, dog in a speedboat.
Thank you, Marilla, for sharing this hard story with us with such intimacy and wit. And know that we're very happy that your treatment had such a positive outcome. And we also want to say that we're very sorry to hear about your friend. Our final video is by Cheyenne Scott. Cheyenne Scott is an actor, playwright, and creative producer. She explores and celebrates her Indigenous heritage through her work, which is often inspired from the land. She actively moves and writes from its sources. Her interactive poem, Yuk, received a Best New Media Award from the Imaginative Film and Media Arts Festival. Additionally, she received a Dora Award for Outstanding Ensemble for her performance in Passion Play, and a Dora nomination as co-author for Now You See Her, published by Coach House Press. Apart from her work as a theater artist, she is the Indigenous Arts Program Facilitator for the Paprika Festival, an arts festival celebrating the work of young and emerging theater artists. Here is Cheyenne's beautiful video, the final video in tonight's presentation.
My name is Cheyenne Scott, and I am straight Salish of the Saanich Nation and Norwegian settler descent. I am an actor, playwright, and creative producer. I invite you to travel west with me through a seaweed breeze engulfed in ancient trees, where earth and water have taught me lessons, and I will share them with you. This drum carries a merging of blood, quantify it if you must, made by the hands of Suk relatives and painted by my Norwegian grandfather, a Viking ship that sailed across the seas and settled on the land my ancestors care for. During my time on Hulls Island, I was developing my play entitled Tackle Box, and this is a coming-of-age story based on my real-life experiences of salmon fishing on the Pacific Ocean with my family. I have been developing a land-based methodology for writing, and so part of that experience is to be on the land, reflecting, observing, inventing, and being curious. During my time on Hulls Island, I was really inspired to address the characters that live in the spiritual realm of this play. They are the Three-Eyed Witch, who is a negative character who feeds on doubt and shame, and there's also Chinook, who is the spirit that is guiding the hero of the story. I command the wind, twist and distort it. 15 knots, 30 knots, 40 knots. Let the ocean be pushed and shoved. Angered waves with white tops, no one dare venture. Now you are bound to land. I sense your frustration. Anger tastes like sugar and melts in my growing belly. There's no reaching Chinook now. Tackle Box is a collage of memories intertwined with poetry. I was really inspired by the matriarchal energies of Halls Island, the water, and the moon while doing my writing. The water is calm, I don't even hear it. Moisture in the air makes my hair all curly. Never understood the meaning of the trickster till I met the ravens here. The clap of their wings makes me jump out of my skin. Slow your movement, slow your breath.
Cheyenne Scott and her tribute to Halls Island brings an end to our 6-minute Halls Island escape. Well, Maggie, that was an interesting selection of experiences created by the artists involved in the 2021 Halls Island Artist Retreat.
Yes, so much talent and craft and beauty and invention. We're fortunate people to be in the company of these artists and their art. And we're very fortunate that Halls Island exists and that it has been gifted to artists in this way. Thank you, Jennifer Fraser and Bill Hughes, for that gift. And thank you to the Halls Island Artists Residency Committee, who are Ruth Walker, Dawn Gage, Renee Woltz, Jennifer Fraser, Kathleen Hughes, Tracy Smith, Cam Green, and Jack Brazina. Joan Duhame is the coordinator.
Thanks, Maggie, and thank you very much for joining me for the video presentation.
It was my great pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Now, before we begin, I should note that if these videos have inspired you, applications for the 2022 season are now open. Visit www.hallsisland.ca for information and access to an application. Now, to join the after party, it's simply a matter of going to the bottom of the screen, finding the link, and clicking on it. We'll see you then.